He was still on the couch, glass in hand, when I asked him to stay there a minute. I didn't explain. I didn't have to. The air shifted as I stepped down the hallway. When I opened the front door, she walked in without hesitation, not a word spoken. And from the way she looked at me, it was clear she already knew what this was. Before we jump in, if you've been here before, tap like and hit subscribe. It helps more than you know. And if this is your first one, welcome. You picked a great place to start. Let's begin. His glass was nearly empty, the last sip catching the light as it circled slowly at the bottom. I stood just behind him, resting my palms gently on his shoulders, my thumbs brushing lightly across the fabric of his shirt. He didn't tense. He never did. My presence had always felt familiar to him, expected even. But tonight, there was something different. I leaned in close enough for him to hear me clearly. "Stay right here," I said softly. He went still, exactly as I'd hoped, one hand still cradling the glass, his posture adjusting slightly without a word. I let the quiet linger, then stepped away, letting the shift in space speak for itself. He didn't glance back. He didn't ask why. He just waited quietly. The air seemed to shift with each step I took. The lighting in the room felt softer now, the silence a little more noticeable. My heels met the floorboards with a soft rhythm, cushioned by the rug as I crossed toward the hallway. The door had been closed, something we rarely did, but tonight I had. I paused with my fingers on the handle, sensing the stillness behind me. Then slowly I pulled it open. She was already there. Her coat was buttoned but loosely, like she hadn't bothered to fix it properly. She stood with a kind of ease that didn't feel like waiting. It felt like she'd timed her arrival to match the moment exactly. That quiet self-assurance. The calm awareness I remembered from before, back when all of this was just a thought we barely took seriously. Seeing her again made something stir in my chest. Not nervousness, something steadier, something known. She stepped inside quietly. She took her time removing her coat, undoing each button with care. She hung it beside the door like it was something she'd done a dozen times. Like this space already knew her. He still hadn't moved. She didn't say anything to him. She just looked calm, certain. A hint of a smile at the corner of her mouth. I returned to the couch without a word, settling beside him, not too close, but near enough that the edge of my sleeve brushed his. I crossed my legs slowly, the fabric of my skirt shifting slightly with the motion. My hand rested near his on the cushion, not touching, but there. None of us spoke. We didn't need to, because when she smiled, it all made sense why I'd asked him to stay exactly where he was. She moved first. Not toward him, not yet, but behind the couch, her footsteps soundless on the rug. Her fingertips glided along the backrest as she passed, just behind his shoulders. He didn't turn. I could see the quiet effort it took for him to stay exactly where he was. That was the idea. She came to my side, her hand pausing lightly near his back. Then she leaned in close enough for me to feel her presence beside my cheek. Not a word was spoken. It wasn't hesitation, more like a pause that waited for acknowledgement. I didn't speak. I just turned slightly, fully aware of her closeness. Then she looked at him, direct, steady, still. There was no tension in her gaze. No question in it either. She was including him now, silently, intentionally, as if this moment belonged to all of us, even if it hadn't started that way. I rested my hand gently on his knee, grounding him. "Just breathe," I said softly. His leg moved a little, quiet shift. Still, she didn't go to him. Instead, she sat down carefully on the rug in front of us. Her movements were calm, her posture relaxed. She looked up, focused, composed. One hand rose and met his fingertips. Light, steady. She didn't lead. She just stayed there. And then gradually, he closed his fingers around hers. No prompt, just response. I reached for his other hand, guiding it to rest near me. The warmth between us didn't come from movement. It came from stillness. He was now held between two quiet points of contact. She gently interlaced her fingers with his. I remained close. The quiet around us thickened, not in hesitation, but in awareness. With her free hand, she brushed her hair back behind one ear. Smooth, calm. Her gaze never left his. He looked back, not with confusion, but with focus. His eyes moved between us, as if trying to take in more than one meaning at once. His throat shifted as he swallowed, a reflex more than a choice. Then came the moment. She reached up with careful intent and removed one earring, then the other. Each made a soft click as she placed them on the table nearby. It wasn't a dismissal of formality. It was quiet readiness. She leaned forward, no announcement, no hesitation, and adjusted the collar of her blouse. With careful fingers, she smoothed the fabric across the front, then adjusted the sleeve near her wrist. Every motion was quiet in the stillness, intentional, composed. Her hands moved with purpose, but her eyes stayed on him. She wasn't focused on what she was doing. She was watching him. I felt the subtle shift in his breath, a slight unevenness that said more than words. I didn't need to look. My hand stayed resting lightly on his shoulder. The quiet hadn't broken. But something had shifted. She gently opened the collar of her blouse, revealing just the edge of the layer beneath. She didn't remove anything. There was no need to. The gesture was enough to draw focus. Then she turned slowly, purposefully, and leaned in until her forehead touched mine softly. Her movements were calm, not rushed, not uncertain. When our lips met, it wasn't a question. It was quiet understanding. It felt like something long unspoken finding its shape. My hand rose to the back of her neck, steadiness in that moment, not to hold her back, but to keep the moment from passing too quickly. When she finally eased away, I heard him breathe, a quiet exhale that had waited for permission. She turned to him again. This time she reached for his hand with a gentle grip, not to lead, but to steady. She guided it carefully to her side, letting it rest there. Her breath was calm. His eyes met mine, uncertain, searching for clarity. I gave a single nod. Let her guide you, I said softly. She returned the gesture with quiet ease. Then she sat beside him carefully, without rush. Once there, she remained upright, composed. Her focus stayed with him. His breath caught for a moment, then evened again. I placed my hand gently on the center of his chest, smoothing the fabric slightly. The warmth was subtle, the rhythm beneath steady. I eased my hand back. That's enough, I whispered. His shirt shifted lightly, and the room paused again, not in fear, not in tension, just in awareness. Still, but only for a moment. She didn't speak. She rested her forehead against his calm, grounded, both feet steady on the rug. Her movements carried no hesitation, just quiet certainty. His hand rose and touched her sleeve, his fingers curling gently around the fabric like he needed to hold onto something steady. He didn't pull her closer. He didn't need to. The moment settled between all of us, not overwhelming, just full. Weighted with everything that didn't need saying. Everything we were letting unfold slowly. I watched quietly. His breathing shifted, not sharply, just enough to notice. There was a stillness in him that seemed almost held, like he wasn't sure what to do with it. She pulled back slightly, just enough to meet his eyes. Their foreheads nearly touched. Her lips parted as she breathed, soft and even. The way she looked at him reminded me of someone watching a sky change, not afraid, just attuned to what was coming. I moved closer along the couch until our arms gently touched. My hand rose to his shoulder, then rested near his collar. He looked tense, not from discomfort, but from awareness, from being fully seen in a moment that wasn't his to shape. Then she turned to me and leaned in again. Our foreheads met only briefly. She felt calm. Still, like this had been waiting. I didn't close my eyes. But I knew his already were. He wasn't speaking. Wasn't reacting. Just listening, just present. She leaned again, letting her forehead brush the side of his. Not a kiss, just a quiet signal of closeness. I saw the slight twitch of his leg, followed by stillness again. His posture straightened as if returning to center. I shifted beside him, resting my arm along the back of the couch. My other hand placed nearby, not touching, simply settled there. His pulse remained steady. I didn't push. I just stayed. Her hand lowered slowly and she rested it beside his on the cushion, fingers open, palm down. Not to hold, not to lead, just to be near. He responded with a small turn toward her hand, his thumb grazing the side of hers. Not a grip, just acknowledgement. She stayed upright, steady, not leaning, not drawing anything in, just staying present. I shifted slightly, angling behind him, not to surround, but to be near. I let my cheek hover near his ear and exhaled quietly. He moved slightly in response, not startled, just aware. He was between us now, not held in place, not directed, simply aware of our presence and staying still within it. She tilted her head and rested her forehead gently against the side of his. Not fully, not pressing, just near enough to share that quiet space. His eyes were half-lit, not closed, not open. His hands stayed relaxed, not clenched, not limp, just waiting. I leaned gently into his shoulder, listening to the rhythm of his breath. It stayed even, quiet. The three of us sat there, not speaking, not shifting. The stillness held and deepened. No one moved for a long time. Quiet stretched slow and settled, each breath deeper than the last. His hand, still beneath hers, flexed just slightly. She kept hers there, steady. I placed my palm lightly on his chest over the fabric, resting where the movement of breath passed beneath. His heartbeat was calm. Then she looked at me. Just once. It was enough. He didn't need to be told anything. And I didn't need to speak. I'd never asked him to move again. And I didn't need to be honest. Do you wish you were there too? If you were, what would you be doing? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading. Like stories like this. Tap like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching.